What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I saw that the NBA announced their Hall of Fame class for 2024. Chauncey Billups, Vince Carter are heading to the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, I don't think really either are Hall of Fame level, but the NBA Hall of Fame is a joke. But the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame is much more strict, much more intense in terms of these guys getting in. There's a higher standard. So today I wanted to look at the 2024, 2025, and 2026 class, considering you have to retire 3 years after you retire, you're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. So I wanted to look at it and give you the 4 guys in each class that I think are going to get in, because there's only 4 guys. It's not like you can have 5, 6 guys, and that's a problem we're going to run into with this 2025 potentially eligible class. It's absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to break it down starting in 2024 and then going 2024, 2025, 2026, and tell you who I think is worthy of being in the Hall of Fame based on their overall careers. Now, when looking at the Hall of Fame, the number one thing I mainly look at is the prime of the player. Were they a legit superstar? Awards. Yes, longevity does matter to a degree. We're going to get into a certain player regarding longevity. But if you're not playing at a high level at the end of your career, I don't really care about your longevity that much. But career stats definitely matter. But for me, it's more so about the prime. Let's get into it. Up first, we got 2024. Now, when looking at 2024, it's an okay class. 2023 was like Lundqvist, Bariso, and Turgeon, and I think one other player for the most part. But 2024, I think Datsuk is the no doubt guy that has to be in. He has 3 Selkies. In his prime was basically Patrice Bergeron on steroids, had 97 points while being the best defensive center in the entire NHL. He was absolutely fantastic. Will he get in? I don't know. First, he's going to get in eventually, obviously, but considering the Russia-Ukraine stuff, they've obviously snubbed the player that I'm going to have in my 2024 class. Let's go over the guys that I'm going to have in. McGinley obviously is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He would be in my Hall of Fame next season for 2024. This guy obviously had 76 goals in a season. Overall importance to hockey on the whole, considering it is the Hockey Hall of Fame, him being one of the first defectors to the NHL is massive. He would be one of my guys, as well as Pavel Datsuk. Another guy, I'm actually not going to have any of these other first-time eligible guys. I think Shea Weber, Ryan Miller, Pecorine all have cases to be Hall of Famers one day. Do I think they're first ballot guys? Probably not, but the other 2 that I would go with for this 2024 class is Rod Brind'Amour. Looking at Rod Brind'Amour, 2-time Selke winner, right around 1,200 career points. In his prime, was one of the best two-way players in the entire NHL. Obviously, captained the Carolina Hurricanes to a Stanley Cup in 2006. I think he checks basically every single box when it comes to a Hall of Famer in terms of prime, awards, longevity. He's a stud. He should be a Hall of Famer. And then that last spot in 2024, I'm going with Curtis Joseph. Curtis Joseph, really tough draw in terms of like when he came into the league, when his prime was. It was basically his entire prime overlapped with Dominik Hasek, as well as Patrick Waugh still playing at a high level. Early on, Martin Brodeur, he wasn't winning Vezinas, but he was finishing second behind Dominik Hasek. So although he never won a Vezina, and that definitely does ding him, he was a no doubt top 3, top 4 goalie during his prime. He has 454 wins all time, which is like the 7th most wins in NHL history, which I think that does, although wins are a team stat, I agree. It doesn't matter when it comes to the Hall of Fame. So I think Curtis Joseph. So my 2024 class would be Pavel Datsuk, Alexander McGinley, Rod Brind'Amour, Curtis Joseph, and I would not have Patrick Marleau. And looking at Patrick Marleau, very solid career, a Hall of very good career, but his case is kind of solely built off him having that games played record. We're actually going to jump over to the Patrick Marleau stat page right now. Very impressive, almost 1,800 career games. 1,200 career points. Again, that's similar to Brind'Amour, but in like 300 more games. When looking at Patrick Marleau, again, a very good player, a high level first liner. Do I think he was ever really a top 15 player in the NHL outside of this 2010 season? I don't. I just don't think that he has the prime, and especially when you look at him towards the end of his career. Last 2 seasons, he was only wheeled out there to get the games played record, and in terms of award recognition, 1 Hart top 10 finish. Besides that, obviously he had Joe Thornton on his team as well, but he never really broke out and was a 1B to Joe Thornton. It was much more of a 1-2 action. So when looking at Patrick Marleau, had a fantastic career. I understand he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, so my opinion means absolutely nothing on this matter, but I always have said that he is overrated just because of that games played record. He is definitely a Hall of very good case. 2025, this is absolutely disgusting when looking at this class. I'm going to get rid of that 2026. Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, Joe Thornton, Carey Price, Tuukka Rask, Ryan Getzlaf, Jason Spezza, PK Subban, and Braden Holtby. I think the no doubt guys here, it's pretty obvious the 4, even though I think the other ones will eventually get in. It's Chara, it's Keith, it's Thornton, it's Price. When looking at Chara, obviously won that Vezina, one of the best top 2 defensemen in his prime, maybe the best defenseman for like a 4 to 5 year stretch once Nick Lidstrom kind of retired in 2010, 2011. So I think he's a no doubt. Duncan Keith, 2-time Norris winner, 3 Stanley Cups, has a Conn Smythe. Didn't have the best longevity, but still his prime was just so special. He's a no doubt Hall of Famer. Joe Thornton, 1,500 career points, Hart winner, multiple other seasons finishing like top 3 in the NHL in points. He needs to be up there. Then I got Carey Price, who although, again, didn't have the longevity like a Duncan Keith didn't have the longevity too. When looking at it for a 3 to 4 year period, was the best goalie in hockey. No doubt, in my opinion, had the best singular goalie season of the 21st century back in 2015. So I think these 4, although I think Ryan Getzlaf is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Tuukka Rask is tough. Only around 300 career wins, which is on the lower end. Won a Vezina, obviously, another second-place finish, but it was just tough because he didn't really take the reins over for Tim Thomas, so he got a later start. He maybe gets in down the line, but right now for 2025, I think Chara, Keith, Thornton, Price, and none of those guys above in 2026 that are eligible. Really sniff those 4 guys. And then we got 2026, we got 2 of the best two-way forwards, two-way centers in NHL history, Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron, Eric Staal, Craig Anderson. Eric Staal, I think, may eventually get in down the line. Craig Anderson, no, in my opinion. And then this was written in June of 2023, so obviously Jonathan Quick still playing in the NHL, not going to be eligible until at least 2027, probably 2028, 2029, because he's going to get another contract after this season. He did resign with the New York Rangers. So I think Toews and Bergeron are the 2 obvious ones here. First ballot, no doubt. Jonathan Toews, top 5 player in the entire NHL in the early 2010s. So is Bergeron having the most Selkies ever. Who else am I going to go with? I would put Ryan Getzlaf with this group. I think that's definitely a good shout. And from 2024, I'm actually going to pull a fastball. I'm going to go with Sergei Gonchar on this. Let me pull him up real quick. When looking at Sergei Gonchar, he was one of the best defensemen for basically the entire 2010s. Here he is. Sergei Gonchar was a beast. He from around 2000 all the way to like 2010. And again, this was in a very low-scoring era. He was one of the best defensemen in the entire NHL. He never won a Hart Trophy, but he was consistently one of the best. And in 2009, people kind of forget, kids nowadays, they think that Chris Letang was the number 1 defenseman on that team. No, he was the number 1, by far played the most minutes on the team, around 23, 24 minutes a night. So I am going to go with Gonchar. He has over 800 career points as a defenseman, which puts him 17th all time. I think this guy is long overdue, especially with that team success, being a Stanley Cup champion. He's one of the guys that are currently waiting. I maybe could go with Henrik Zetterberg as well, but I think Gonchar, considering how long he played, how much of a high level, he played over 300 more games than Shea Weber and has over 300 more points. I think Shea Weber might have been slightly better in his prime, considering he was a Norris runner-up a bunch of times. But I'm going to go with Sergei Gonchar for my 2026. So when looking at it, going back to this, 2024, we got Alex Mogilny, Datsuk, Brindamore, Curtis Joseph. 2025, Chara, Keith, Thornton, Price, pretty easy. Then 2026, Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron, Ryan Getzlaf, and Sergei Gonchar. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? We can't really do 2027 yet, considering these are going to be the guys that retire this season. So let me know, what do you think? Who do you think is going to make the Hall of Fame? Again, I agree. Marlowe's going to make the Hall of Fame. This is a debate that I've had for the longest time, ever since I started doing TikTok 2-3 years ago. I think he's Hall of very good. I just think he is. I know I'm going to get shit for that. But let me know in the comments, do you think Patrick Marleau's a Hall of Famer? Do you think all the other guys that I mentioned are eventual Hall of Famers? And I'll be seeing the next one.